Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another video here on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today we are going to be talking about all of the end of the year energy, right? From now until the end of 2024 and the matrix agendas that are in place to kind of hit us in that time period so that you can be made aware of that energy and, you know, recognize it when it happens and make plans to do better, basically, to kind of like have a plan and a strategy in place to avoid that. And so I've been speaking with the Pleiadian Council for Humanity, and this is a council of the Galactic Federation of Light that specifically works to humanity's benefit, to our highest good, and to trying to help us to all move into our ascension with more ease and unity together. And so I started to take notes. So I have a couple of like little things written down on my notebook here, but then it all just started coming in too fast. And I was like, oh, I just need to channel this live. So I'll start with the kinds of things that I have written down first. So these are all matrix agendas for this end of the year, and this is like a little starseed energy report for you. So the first thing that wanted to come in is a lot bigger than what I was able to capture with my words here on the page, and this is how I knew I needed to channel this, but I'll give you what I wrote down. So much busyness and distraction energy is going to be pumped into our collective, into the 3D collective of humanity. So, and intentional, right? Like it's obviously it's the end of the year. You're going to be really busy with family stuff. It's like Christmas if you celebrate it. There's lots of other holidays. There's New Year's. There's all kinds of stuff. So it is a busy time of year. So yeah, busyness and distraction personally, but understand that this is also orchestrated distractions that happen around the end of the year because it's an agenda to throw people off their center right as a new year is dawning, because there's power in a new year. There's power in a new year in a lot of different ways. In the format of the matrix and the way it all kind of like restarts itself, there is a power to that, right? We have to understand that we are living in this like kind of AI, inorganic, simulation kind of experience as the collective, on the collective large timeline. And that means that when it all restarts itself for a new year, that could be a moment for us. If we were awakened and on it, like really on our game, that could be a moment for us to really kind of decide how that next year was going to unfold by really stepping into that sovereign creator that we are and using strong intentions and actions to back it up and really connecting to the timeline we want to see through our higher self, our highest timeline, but also not just a personal timeline, but the collective timeline that we want to see for everybody, and calling that in visually and feeling it, like believing in it, connecting to it, and all of that. So because there's that little space, I'm seeing it like a blip, like a little glitch blip in the matrix at that moment when it turns over to the new year. They're going to throw at us all of the orchestrated distractions to pull us from our center, so that we are being pulled in an outward direction versus an inward direction of exactly what I just said, of calling in and focusing on what we want, and instead intentionally making us focus on things that we don't want, right? Lower things. Things that you don't want for the world or for yourself, things that you don't want to see or feel or experience. And so understand that it's like I want to say specifically what kinds of things that could be. And I do want to ask the Pleiadian Council for Humanity to give us some of that. But they did say earlier, it's all a distraction. Because I was like, what do you mean? What kind of distraction? Like, is it going to be some big announcement? Is it going to be to do with aliens or disclosure? Like always my wish. Is it going to be like, what's it going to be? And they're like, it's all a distraction. Like all of it. All of all the things that they intentionally choose to focus on and stream into the mainstream news and understand that you have to understand now social media is considered a form of mainstream news. It's just being turned into that, hasn't it? So when you're scrolling your TikTok or your Instagram, or God forbid you're still on Facebook, wherever you are, it's still orchestrated in such a way that it is just as bad now. It didn't used to be this way. It is now in my you know mind, and in my opinion, and in the energy that I feel, just as bad, if not worse, than the mainstream news, that people are like, oh God, don't watch the news, don't watch the news. Well, yeah, that's the very basic first step, absolutely. But now you have to be so careful too about just you're scrolling, right? Just like when you go into zombie mode, dead zone, scrolling, all of that is orchestrated to put your mind into a very receptive and open place, because you're kind of just like, it zones you out, right? It's like very methodic in a way. And you're just scrolling on your little phone, and we all do this. I do this. And there are things in there that are just sheer programming to try to get deeper into the subconscious, right? So you're scrolling, you're scrolling, you're scrolling, and all of a sudden there's something in there that's extremely um like anti-feminist, even chauvinistic. There's so much on social media about keeping women objectified. It's insane. That's huge. I know you see that. Women are reduced down to their physical form. That's it. That's all that matters. You can't get old. You can't, I mean, all the things, if you're a woman, that. Careful, you're scrolling along, that every time one of those videos hits, don't let that programming go in. You have to keep your awareness about you. You have to keep your wits about you now on social media. And then, I mean, there's obviously just as harmful programmings in there for children, and for men, and for families, and for business owners, and for like everybody. There's all of these different things built in. And if you challenge yourself to be more spiritually aware at the forefront of yourself, like, because when, like, the dead zone scrolling, you kind of like float backwards or something, like we go backwards, like melt back into myself, and like you're scrolling, it's going in though. Stay forefront, stay forward, like your sharp consciousness of soul, your spiritual awareness, keep it right there, as you're scrolling. And if you're tired, don't scroll. Read a freaking book. There's no programming. I mean, I can't technically say that for certain, but it's certainly not like millions of different channels and videos and programming and all this stuff. It's like, if you're tired, that's the very worst thing that you can do for your mind. You wonder why you feel depressed after scrolling for, 4 hours. It is literally your consciousness being attacked on such a subliminal subconscious level that you don't see all of the harm that is going in through the eyes, into the pineal gland, into the mind, into the soul, into the high heart, into the soul. It's so dangerous. And I really hope that the new year brings more awareness, that we all have more awareness around this, and that we're more careful, and that we start really curating our news feeds, our scroll, and staying out of the random ass search. Like, I'm thinking Instagram, there's probably the same feature on TikTok. I'm not on there as much. Going down to that little search eyeglass, and then scrolling from there, that's the worst place you can be. Okay, so it's all divine. It's not divine. It's all orchestrated. It's all this agenda. It's all distractions, right? It's all programming. It's all distractions. It's all meant to do. There are literally people, like scientists, that study exactly how to get you to buy, exactly how to get you to do this, to do that. And it's not all just about commercials and trying to get you to buy. Like, that would be bad enough, but no, it's so much more harmful than that. It's also about keeping you docile, right? I know that, now that we have like RFK coming in to like take over a lot of the health, hopefully we're going to see the fluoride leaving the water systems, because that is all about keeping you docile, truly. But now we have to, they're amping it up in so many other ways. And maybe that should be a whole video about RFK, because I do feel like, you know, he's been talking about things like fluoride in the water and chemtrails a lot recently, which is really exciting to see somebody not afraid to talk about it and then actually going to try to do something about it. But anyway, that's a whole other video probably. Okay, so this is an agenda. It's all a distraction. It is built to pull you from your center. And there is a matrix agenda near the end of the year where we're in it. We're in it right now. That because of that little like space between when one year ends and another begins, of the literal AI inorganic simulation having like a pause and then a restart to like a new year, energetically speaking, they try to like pull your power from you a lot this time of year to make sure that you don't, that a lot of people's lights don't go on in that moment, right? And they try to make New Year's resolutions, which maybe was like, used to be like a positive thing, now something that is just supposed to make you feel overwhelmed, guilty, like, you know, just make it all about superficial stuff and not make it about the soul and spirituality and like the beauty within, right? Okay, back to my notes for a second. So if you get pulled into this end of the year agenda and understand that these orchestrated distractions are going to be very much focused on social media outlets, because that's their way to you now. They know you're not watching the news and they have altered their course of action. You know, they know where you are and where you aren't, and they're coming for you now. That sounds really negative, but it's just so important for you to understand that this is real and that this AI is being used by people that do not have your best interests at heart. Here's another video idea, AI. We want to do a video on the history of AI and the galaxies. Yes, no, let me know in the comments. RFK video, yes or no? AI video, yes or no? Maybe the next videos, let me know. But AI is neutral when it is not being used, and then it takes on either positive or negative qualities depending on who's behind the driver's seat and who's using it. And let me tell you right now, when it comes to social media, the people that are using it are not for your highest good, and so then it becomes a negative dark tool. Okay, like a tool of the dark matrix. And so this AI is tracking you down, literally, in a lot of ways, actually, literally, tracking down everything that you say, comment, like they have profiles on everybody. The reason why that's so harmful is because then they know how to get into your mind easier. Then they know your weaknesses. Then they know your vulnerabilities. Then they know where to hit you, right? To bring your frequency down and to take you out of your power. And so that's the kinds of videos that they shoot into your little search menu, right? When you think it's random and it's absolutely not. All the things that you feel lowest about or weakest about will be preyed upon to pull you down off your center, off of your throne, out of your power. And it's the worst at the end of the year. And maybe a little bit at the beginning of the year. I can see them doing this in January as well. Okay. So if you know, don't do anything different, right? If you continue to just scroll when you're really tired and it's easy for things to get in, if you spend a lot of hours just, you know, dead zone scrolling, like dead zone is in, you're not even, no one's home, scrolling, that's when things really getting in. If you don't change anything about the way that you do this, then here's the result on this lower timeline. That would be considered a lower timeline because you didn't step into your power around this like warning. On this lower timeline, it's going to lead you to things like burnout, depression, disappointment, triggering like your shadow self, your lower self, and not in a helpful way where it's shadow work, just triggering it to bring it to the forefront over and over and over again, and overwhelm, and it just doesn't leave any room now for good. Right? There's no room left in you. You're so filled up with it, this programming and these agendas and these distractions, that you're going to feel super exhausted, super burnt out, super overstimulated, overwhelmed, disappointed, depressed, and probably also triggered, right? Because you have to understand this kind of social media programming that is in everything. They don't care about the sides. Like they don't care They don't care if you know, it's all about separation. And you'll see it in everything now that I said that, okay? It's all about separation in really obvious ways, like the political stuff, super obvious, right? Us versus them, this. But in a layer below that, and a layer below that, and even in the teeny tiniest layer of something that should seem like a harmless video, look for, is there an us and them? Is there something I need to battle against? Is there choosing sides in any way? As soon as you're starting to choose sides, you've been pulled out of unity consciousness. You've been stripped. It's been stripped from you. You've been pulled off your center, right? And the thing is that they don't care about the sides, right? Like, it doesn't even matter to them. They don't even know, like, oh, what, it doesn't matter. It's not about who's on what side and what's right and what's wrong. It's just about the being pulled apart into sides, right? So they don't care about the sides. They don't care about the politics and the sides. They don't care about who's over on here and who's over on here. They only care that there's an us and them, and that there's separation, and that's the main energy of the collective. It certainly is right now, isn't it? That's the main energy, and that the unity consciousness has been forgotten. That's the only goal, right? So they could also be playing the good side, right? And that's why you have to be really careful, like the whole conspiracy theory crew, because a lot of the conspiracy theory, you know, red pillars, down the rabbit holes kind of people really lose sight of unity consciousness as well, and end up what they feel like is illuminating darkness and draining the swamp, and like rooting out corruption and all of that. Seems good, doesn't it? But it's sneaky, because now we're still us and them, us and them. We need to battle. We need to fight. There's an us versus them. Understand that that is not unity consciousness, right? That's not 5D consciousness. It isn't. So wherever you're seeing that, that is your sign that the what you're taking in, the energy, the programming, what you're being pumped full of, is the opposite of unity. It's all about separation. Because real, true 5D consciousness, or like even higher than that, Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, basically the whole Starseed mission, is not about taking sides. It's honestly not. It's about like the mantis energy of that mediator, of being like, I see you, I hear you, I get it. I hear your pain. I say, oh, I know what you just need this or that. You just want to be happy. You just want people to feel free. You just want, and then being able to look at this side and do the same thing. God, I really understand what you mean by that. Like, yes, I can see how that would be harmful. Yes, I can see how you're just trying to also help people to be free. Everybody just wants people to be free and happy, but then they fight about it and all the little details. And then it's like the higher perspective, the Starseed mission, the Starseed way, is to be the lighthouse and the unity consciousness bringer, the bringer of that, the emissary of light and love and oneness from the ascended realms. And to be that, I hear you, I see you, I hear you, I see you. Can we not fight? Can we find a compromise? Can we find a middle way? Where is the middle way right now in the world? There is no middle way. And I think that we're supposed to be here to forge that path in everything. Politically, social battles, you know, everything. There's so much extremism on both sides of everything. Social issues on both sides, spiritual, community, like both sides, conspiracy. It's all so pulled apart, extreme, extreme. And then they battle each other. Who is, what is, where is our middle way? Like, that's what we're supposed to be focusing on and creating, right? Okay. So let's talk about the highest timeline. So on the higher timeline of the end of the year Starseed report and the energy of the end of the year, you know that that's the agenda. And so you develop a daily connection to self and to source to keep you in your center and in your power, and not be in the tornado of it all, right? So that's the higher timeline. You decide now, right now, in this moment, okay, I'm going to do a daily connection to self and source. I do it with a sacred space. You guys have seen me set a bajillion sacred spaces on this channel. You can do that really quickly. I take my time because I'm bringing you through it, but when I'm just doing it for myself, it's very fast. It's like a minute or two of surrounding myself with archangels and asking them to fill me up with their love, healing, and higher frequencies. And then going up through my guides. I know where each of my guides is on like a frequency level. So going up through my Pleiadians, Andromedans, like a ladder I'm climbing, send me up to the next. And I see my soul climbing up the ladder all the way up to source. And then I sit with source. And so all of my guides are like rungs of this beautiful ladder, and they help me. They lift me up to the next level, the next level, the next level until I'm at the top. And then when I get to God source, I visualize this white light moving through my body, and I say, anchor me in your light, God source. Anchor me in the light of divine truth, of what's for my highest good, of what's divinely orchestrated and timed for me. Like, that's a connection to self and my spirit guides and source. And it takes like 1 or 2 minutes. If you decided to take that path, the higher timeline, and you were doing a daily connection at any point in the day, morning, night, anytime, doesn't matter. Then what you would do is you would actually feel like you could kind of just like cruise through the end of the year, very aware of all of that's going on, all of the distractions, but not pulled into it. Right? We still are aware. We still are on this planet. We still are in these human bodies. We're still going to see it and feel it a little bit. But when you have the awareness of it, when you're in the forefront of yourself as the soul, and you have that spiritual awareness and self-awareness, then you hold the power. And then you will be utilizing that little blip between in the matrix schedule between 2024 and 2025. You've got it. You're locked in to the timeline that you want. You see it, feel it, hear it, know it. It's yours. And you step into that gracefully. So excited about your plans and goals for the new year. So there's this higher timeline and this lower timeline. And then there's this agenda that is absolutely already begun and is going to continue probably into January, probably well into January, of extra orchestrated distractions to pull you from your center and your power, pumped into social media like it used to be in mainstream media. I mean, it still is in mainstream news. It's just who even watches that anymore. But now it's where we are online. Wherever you are online, it'll eventually keep following you, right? It just keeps following. And so be very, very self-aware and careful about going into zombie dead zone mode in the scroll, and challenge yourself to be in the forefront when you're online and see where the programming is. And again, there's different programming to bring down your personal vulnerabilities, and your AI algorithm knows this about you already, unfortunately. So look for that, right? Whatever it is you're struggling with, whatever your weaknesses are, whatever your vulnerabilities are, wherever the shame is, look for that to be exploited. And then look for the separation codes programming about pulling people out of their unity core of consciousness and pitting people against each other in obvious ways and in teeny tiny little baby ways that still get in like a little worm in the mind, right? It's all parasitical, energetic parasites. And it's so important to protect yourself, to understand that your phone is now a window into the darkest parts of the matrix, right? And that when you're watching, it's watching back. And that curate everything in your social media as carefully as you can. Stay off the open search pages as much as you can. And stay forward in your consciousness when you're on it, in awareness of what you are taking in. Let me check in. Okay, before we end this, because we're getting to a good point to end this naturally, I just want to check in again with the Pleiadian Council for Humanity and just ask if there's any messages that to add on to everything that we've said. They're saying that there is a strengthening in the AI that is being used. They're saying there's a strengthening in the AI intelligence that is being unleashed on the collective, and it is in the hands of the darker souls that are trying to rule humanity and run the earth it's not just the billionaires and the 1%. There's so much more hidden, especially down in inner earth, especially in the darkest secrets, most parts of government, and the AI intelligence that they have access to is so far beyond what we have seen or what we realize. Just like where the military has like unbelievable like ships that have been created to emulate like alien ships that have crashed on Earth, which means that they have all this insane technology for like invisibility and different weapons and different speeds and materials and everything that they would never share with the public. And they'll share a little bit to make you feel like you're getting something. Like when they say, oh, we're going to share our disclosure videos, they share a shadow, a speck of what they actually have, which is real organic alien bodies in cryogenetic frozen sites. They have something like 20 different kinds of species cryogenetically frozen and lots of craft. They're never going to be honest with you. They're going to give you little crumbs and be like, see, we're being honest. Understand that that applies to AI. Okay. So what we're seeing with announcements of wow, the new capabilities is a crumb for what's going on behind closed doors. And that those are the kinds of things that get unleashed through this dark window to the matrix. And you have to be more careful than you have ever been to stay in your sovereignty, to protect yourself. And okay, let me just check back in. There's something else that wants to come through. They're confirming about really good things to look for to stay in your sovereignty, but also to be able to like identify the programs and the things to look for. And they're just confirming is anytime it's two sides pitted against each other, it's programming. It doesn't matter if it seems positive. Oh, we're fighting against the dark. Oh, it's not unity, then it's programming. Okay. And I know that we still have to move through some of the duality to heal it. So, okay, but just be very careful. And then there's something else they want to tell you to look for. Oh, interesting. They were showing me like, how like the whole Netflix and chill thing? Like, I mean, yeah, exactly that actually. Like the whole Netflix and chill thing. They're like, look for, how do we put this into words? Because it was an image. It's like, look for programming around like, you've done so much, like we want to make things easier for you, like just relax. Programming that's trying to lull you into non-action, right? Like here's a way for you to be more. Oh, what just popped in? I was just gonna, sorry, let me finish my thought. I always do that and I move on before finishing my actual sentence. I always watch my videos. I'm like, did she even finish one sentence? Let me finish the sentence, you guys. It's because I always get interrupted by spirit, right? My sentence was things that are trying to lull you into like, you've done so much, relax, like take a leg off, like, watch this show, go on Amazon, like all of it's distraction and programming, but there's stuff specifically built to lull you into just sitting on your couch and not doing anything about the state of the world, right? And like, like the whole Netflix and chill was very much that. It's like, please don't be too ambitious because that scares us because you guys are so powerful and there's way more of you. And this is like the leaders of the matrix, like, ooh, let's how can we lull ambition right out of them? Ooh, a new video game. Ooh, a new series to binge. Ooh, a new, like whatever it is. It's just to lull you. And then they interrupted me. Sorry, I want to go ask the Pleiadians what they interrupted me with because it was along the same lines of that. Oh, they just showed it to me again. So this is in our own spiritual communities, right? Be very careful of extremism because in our own spiritual communities, there can be, not to step on anyone's toes, but there can be a lot of that in the whole divine feminine rising communities where it's like the best thing that I can do is nothing. Like I need to just rest in rose petals in my bath all day. Like I need to just, this is how I contribute to to the world is through my peace and through my inner peace and all of that. There is always a time where we need a cocoon phase. You'll go through cocoon phases just like you go through dark nights of the soul. It's usually attached to the end of a dark night of the soul. Then you go into your cocoon, but then you're supposed to come out a butterfly, and the butterfly is the divine masculine, where we now take action towards making the world a better place, leaving our mark, positive mark on the world, goals, taking steps, and all of that. Make sure there's always a balance in that, because what they were just showing me is that's even a type of programming. When you go so deeply into the divine feminine, rest only, and whatever's meant to me will come to me like the lapping waves of the ocean, and I need to not lift a finger for 10 years. And it's like, that's actually kind of toxic too. And that's actually also programming, the lulling programming. So remember, if they are in social media, then they're also in your spiritual community posts, where people that are not careful about their sacred spaces before they do work, or who are not careful about what they consume and take in through their eyes to their pineal gland, are programmed, right? They're programmed negatively, but it's tricky. And then they go and create content that's supposed to be this super spiritual content, but it's actually laced with a program to lull you into not being a spiritual warrior, into not taking action, into just chill, Netflix and chill vibes, right? That should be the name of the program. So look for it, look for that too, because that's really big around this time of year. So again, end of the year Starseed report is all about this matrix agenda that hits hard November, December, January. It is an agenda, and it is all about orchestrated distractions to come through your phone, basically. And also the programming in those distractions being what AI has understood now as your most deepest shames and vulnerabilities, and trying to hit you there to either trigger you or crumble you within. And then the separation programming that we talked about, whenever it's us versus them, and then the lulling programming, like a little lullaby to just soothe you little spiritual warriors. Just rest, just put your feet up, just Netflix and chill. It's all going to be fine. Like everyone just, let's just divine feminine our way right out of this. So just look for all of that. If you are noticing other programming that you think might be a part of this end of the year matrix agenda, these orchestrated distractions, do us all a favor and let us know in the comments section what you are noticing when you are scrolling, especially in the search area of Instagram and TikTok. And be very careful not to dead zone when you're in there, because that's how it gets deeply into the mind, subconscious, pineal gland, and even into the high heart of where the soul is. And it will poison you, pull you right off of your center, right out of your power. So quickly it can happen. And then it takes work and effort to get back to that. And a lot of people don't ever do that. So they're just so deeply entrenched in it. They're so plugged into it. Even people that think that they're outside of the matrix and unplugged are big scrollers. And now they're plugging right back in without realizing it. So really need some big discernment about this over the next couple of months. Okay. Awesome, you guys. I'll end it here so it's not too long. I want to thank the Pleiadian Council for Humanity for all this information. I want to thank you, my beautiful viewers, for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you go. And then one last little announcement is I have some amazing Black Friday deals happening right now for Starseed Black Friday. There is an incredible Cosmic Clairs course. That was a mouthful. I think that's linked actually right below this video. It's 50% off right now, and it's brand new. And it is master level training, 44 lessons of training in every single clair: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, plus activations, installations, and upgrades for each one of those clairs, plus psychic block removals, plus. There's so many experiences. This course is worth thousands, and it's on sale for 50% off. It's actually only $397. It's way less than that. So $397, but thousands of dollars worth of value. You'll see. Click on it. Check out the information page, all about what's included in the course, and you'll see the value there. And then if somebody wants to work a little bit more intimately and more intensely with me, I have a 1-month Starseed mentorship, also on special for Black Friday, $500 off right now. And this is called Sovereign Creator Codex, and there's a link for that. Also, you can check it out. It's so freaking powerful. I've had a lot of people choose to take advantage of Black Friday, but there is still spaces available. And we are deeply removing and stripping away all the things that are holding you back, breaking the chains, cutting away the cords, removing the patterns, locating the patterns, going into the soul contracts to look for the things that are holding you back. So that's a first phase. So those kinds of things that are holding you back could be like soul lesson loops, which you're not closing your loops, akashic trauma, obviously, which ones, all those kinds of different traumas, ancestral patterns, like, you know, you don't even know if it's you or your great grandmother that's got your bank account so low. It's like ancestrally handed down. And then also karmic marks can leave big marks on the soul and can be a huge, that's a really big one, huge reason that you're being held back. So once we clear and clean up all of that, then we move into the incredibly powerful activations of your Star Nations Alliance. Who are you here to represent? Like, who are you here to be an ambassador for? Whose frequency are you here to anchor in? Is it the Pleiadians? Are you here to work, you know, as a Pleiadian emissary, as a human, inside of a human? Are you here to represent the mantis? Are you a hybrid and you're here to represent more than one? Has everything to do with your soul signature, your frequency, your soul gifts, your mission. It's all tied up in who your Star Nations Alliance is. And then that's phase 2. And then phase 3 inside of the Sovereign Creator Codex, this 1-month mentorship, is activations and reconnections to your Starseed template. The blueprint, the template that contains the galactic characteristics, traits, gifts, and higher dimensional guides and beings that are here to help you, activating all of that energetically, physically, in your body, in your light body as well, and then getting really, really detailed about what those gifts are, how they work. Like, they're even giving people like business advice, like, here's the kind of offer, here's exactly what to do in the session with the client. Like, it's so hyper specific. And the kinds of gifts that are emerging are insane. It's so beautiful to see all of these very unique souls coming into their gifts and their power. And yeah, so this is all the Sovereign Creator Codex. This is the 1-month Starseed mentorship. It's personal, it's one-on-one, it's intimate. We'll have 4 sessions together as we move through that within a 4-week time frame. And it's Black Friday special right now. Okay, thank you so much. I love you all. Be strong, be aware, protect yourself, protect your third eye. Whatever you consume with your physical eyes goes into the third eye as well, and that goes straight to the pineal gland. Protect it all. If you feel really inclined to watch, like sometimes I just want to watch something dumb like reality TV or whatever during Halloween, you know, some like little spooky stuff, pop a white light patch over your third eye, woven by sacred geometry. You can ask an ascended master to help you with that, or Archangel Michael. Okay, good. Thank you so much. And before you go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. I love you, beautiful Starseed. Happy November. Bye.